Hey there, knowledge seekers. This is your ultimate destination for discovering the past, understanding the present, and imagining the future. Every video here is a window into a world of wonder, so let your curiosity guide you. Now we explore, explain.
The story of the Inca Empire is one of the most remarkable chapters in the history of human civilization. It is a tale of endurance, innovation, and harmony with nature, born in the rugged landscapes of the Andes Mountains. The Incas, a civilization that rose from humble beginnings in the highlands of Peru, built one of the largest and most sophisticated empires in pre-Columbian America. Their empire, known as Tawantinsuyu, meaning the four regions, stretched across vast territories of modern-day Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina, and Colombia. What made the Inca Empire extraordinary was not only its size, but its ability to thrive in an environment of steep mountains, harsh climates, and unpredictable geography. Despite the absence of iron tools, the wheel, or a written language, the Incas constructed a civilization defined by organization, ingenuity, and spiritual depth. The origins of the Inca people trace back to myth, legend, and mystery. According to their own oral traditions, the Incas believed they were descended from the sun god Inti, who sent his son Manco Capac and his sister wife Mama Oclo to bring order and civilization to the world. Emerging from the sacred waters of Lake Titicaca, the divine siblings journeyed northward to find a place where they could establish a great city. When Manco Capac's golden staff sank into the ground at Cuzco, they knew they had found their destined home. This myth not only symbolized divine origin, but also reinforced the authority of the Inca rulers as children of the sun. It was this belief that sustained the unity and obedience of their subjects, for to serve the Inca was to serve the divine. Historically, the rise of the Incas began around the early 13th century, though they were one of many Andean cultures that had existed long before their ascendancy. The highlands of Peru were home to advanced civilizations such as the Chavan, the Moche, the Nazca, and the Wari, all of whom contributed to the cultural and technological foundations that the Incas later inherited. The Wari Empire in particular provided the Incas with administrative models and road systems that they would later expand upon. By the time the Incas emerged as a distinct group, they were surrounded by rival tribes and kingdoms, each competing for survival in the unforgiving Andean terrain. The Incas' rise to dominance was gradual, shaped by military skill, strategic alliances, and the ability to integrate conquered peoples rather than merely subjugate them. Cuzco, the heart of the Inca world, was more than just a political capital. It was the spiritual and cosmic center of the empire. The Incas believed that Cuzco was the navel of the world, connecting the heavens above, the earth below, and the underworld beyond. The city was meticulously planned, with roads radiating outward like rays of the sun to connect the four quarters of the empire: Chinchaysuyu in the northwest, Tawantinsuyu in the northeast, Cola-Suyu in the southeast, and Kuntisuyu in the southwest. Each region had its own unique geography, people, and resources, yet they were all bound together by the Inca administrative and spiritual system. The empire's unity depended not on a centralized military occupation, but on an intricate network of reciprocal obligations known as mita, which required citizens to provide labor for the state in exchange for security, land, and sustenance.
The Inca political structure was one of the most organized systems in ancient history. At its head stood the Sapa Inca, the absolute ruler, revered as the living embodiment of the sun. Beneath him were nobles, priests, military leaders, and administrators, all functioning in a hierarchy that ensured the smooth governance of a vast and diverse population. The Incas did not rely on currency or markets as modern states do. Instead, their economy operated on collective labor and redistribution. The empire maintained vast storehouses filled with food, textiles, and tools, ensuring that even during times of drought or disaster, no one went hungry. This system of planned resource management was a remarkable achievement in economic sustainability, one that modern societies still study with admiration. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Inca Empire was its mastery of agriculture and engineering. The Andean landscape was among the most challenging on Earth, with steep slopes, thin air, and limited arable land. Yet the Incas transformed this adversity into opportunity through innovation. They carved terraces into the mountainsides, creating flat plots of fertile soil, capable of retaining water and preventing erosion. These terraces not only expanded their farmland, but also created microclimates allowing crops to grow at different altitudes. The Incas cultivated a vast variety of crops: potatoes, maize, quinoa, and coca, each adapted to specific environments. Their irrigation systems, built from stone canals and aqueducts, transported water across miles of rugged terrain, feeding both crops and cities. This level of environmental adaptation demonstrated the Incas' deep understanding of their natural surroundings and their ability to live harmoniously within them. The architectural achievements of the Inca remain some of the most astonishing feats of ancient engineering. Their cities, temples, and fortresses were constructed with precision and purpose, often using massive stone blocks that fit together so perfectly that not even a blade of grass could pass between them. The most iconic example of this craftsmanship is Machu Picchu, the hidden city perched high in the Andes. Built in the mid-15th century, Machu Picchu was a royal estate and ceremonial site designed to blend seamlessly with the surrounding mountains. Its structures, aligned with astronomical events, reveal the Incas' deep spiritual connection with the cosmos. Other impressive sites, such as Sacsayhuaman and Ollantaytambo, showcase their defensive and architectural prowess. Without the use of mortar, wheels, or iron tools, the Incas built structures that have withstood earthquakes and centuries of erosion, standing as eternal testaments to their ingenuity.
Beyond their physical creations, the Incas built a social and spiritual order that reflected balance, reciprocity, and cosmic harmony. Their religion was deeply intertwined with nature. They worshipped Inti, the sun god, as the giver of life and sustainer of the world. The moon, earth, stars, and mountains were also sacred beings, each deserving reverence. The Incas practiced elaborate rituals and festivals to honor their gods and ensure the fertility of the land. One of the grandest celebrations was Inti Raymi, the festival of the sun, held during the winter solstice to honor Inti and mark the beginning of a new agricultural cycle. Sacrifices, both animal and occasionally human, were offered to maintain divine favor, particularly in times of crisis. These acts, though viewed with horror by later European observers, were expressions of deep faith and gratitude, rooted in the belief that the world was a living organism requiring balance and reciprocity. Communication and unity across the vast Inca Empire were made possible by their extraordinary network of roads and messengers. The Inca road system, known as the Capacnan, extended for more than 25,000 miles, connecting mountains, valleys, deserts, and coasts. These roads were marvels of engineering, featuring suspension bridges made of woven grass and steps carved into sheer cliffs. Along these routes ran the chasquis, highly trained messengers who relayed information using quipus, a system of knotted cords used for record-keeping and communication. Though the Incas lacked a written language, the quipus allowed them to record data such as census numbers, tribute, and agricultural yields. Their efficiency in administration and communication ensured that the empire could function seamlessly across such vast and varied territories. As the Incas expanded their dominion, they integrated conquered peoples through a policy of inclusion rather than destruction. Local rulers were often allowed to remain in power as long as they pledged loyalty to the Sapa Inca and contributed to the empire's welfare. The Incas imposed their language, Quechua, as a unifying force while also respecting local customs and deities. This policy of tolerance and adaptation strengthened the empire's cohesion and reduced rebellion. Roads, temples, and agricultural terraces were built in newly conquered regions, spreading Inca culture and governance. This approach created a sense of belonging among diverse ethnic groups, fostering stability in an empire that spanned thousands of miles and included millions of people. Yet, beneath the surface of unity, the Inca Empire was not without its challenges. The very size that made it impressive also made it vulnerable. The reliance on a rigid hierarchy and centralized authority meant that internal conflicts could quickly spiral into crises. The Inca succession system, based on divine lineage rather than primogeniture, often led to disputes between royal brothers, each claiming legitimacy. Furthermore, the empire's reliance on communal labor and tribute placed immense pressure on its subjects. Although the system provided stability, it demanded obedience and conformity, leaving little room for dissent. Despite these tensions, the Incas maintained relative peace and prosperity for nearly a century, a testament to their leadership and organization. By the early 15th century, the Inca Empire stood as the dominant power in South America, a civilization of breathtaking sophistication and unity. But as history would soon reveal, its golden age was approaching its tragic end. Across the seas, new forces were stirring, European explorers driven by ambition, greed, and the hunger for empire. The Incas, unaware of the approaching storm, continued to build, worship, and rule, confident in their divine destiny. Their empire, perched atop the world's highest peaks, seemed eternal. Yet the winds of change were already blowing, carrying with them the seeds of conquest and destruction that would alter the fate of the Andes forever.
The 15th century marked the height of the Inca Empire's greatness, an age of stability and achievement that few civilizations in human history could rival. It was during this period that the Incas expanded their influence from the highlands of Cuzco across much of western South America, uniting countless tribes and cultures under the banner of Tawantinsuyu. Their empire was not forged solely through conquest, but through diplomacy, administration, and the extraordinary ability to absorb the knowledge and traditions of others. This synthesis of diverse peoples into a single, functioning whole was the essence of the Inca genius. The empire stood as a living organism, its roads like veins, its people the lifeblood, and the Sapa Inca the beating heart who kept the great body alive and harmonious. At the center of this world was the Sapa Inca himself, the divine monarch who embodied both political authority and spiritual sanctity. During the Golden Age, two rulers in particular left an enduring mark on the empire's history: Pachacuti and his son Topa Inca Yupanqui. Pachacuti, whose name means earth shaker, was the true architect of the Inca state. He transformed Cuzco from a modest mountain city into the imperial capital of a vast empire. Under his leadership, the Incas reorganized their realm into a tightly controlled system of provinces, each governed by loyal officials who reported directly to Cuzco. He instituted monumental building projects, including the temples, fortresses, and administrative centers that still inspire awe today. Machu Picchu, though hidden high in the clouds, was one of his visionary creations, serving as both a royal estate and a ceremonial center dedicated to the sun. Topa Inca Yupanqui, following in his father's footsteps, extended the empire's reach even further. He led vast armies down the coast of modern-day Chile and northward into Ecuador, bringing new lands under the Inca domain. Yet his conquests were not marked by senseless destruction. The Incas valued stability above all else. Newly conquered peoples were often treated with respect, provided they accepted Inca authority and contributed labor and tribute to the state. They were introduced to the Quechua language, Inca religion, and the administrative systems that linked every village to the imperial center. In many ways, the Incas were not just conquerors, but unifiers, binding together a continent of mountains, deserts, and forests into a single civilization that functioned like a well-crafted machine. The golden age of the Inca Empire was defined by order, balance, and reciprocity. The foundation of their social organization was the Ayulo, a kin-based community that shared land, labor, and resources. Every person in the empire was part of an Ayulo, and each Ayulo was responsible for producing food, textiles, and labor for the state. In return, the state provided protection, religious ceremonies, and access to resources. This mutual dependence reflected the Andean ideal of Aini, or sacred reciprocity, the belief that all aspects of life, from agriculture to worship, required give and take between people, gods, and the natural world. Nothing existed in isolation. Every action demanded a response. This philosophy of balance was reflected in every corner of Inca life, from their architecture to their calendar, from their laws to their daily rituals. Agriculture remained the foundation of Inca prosperity. The Incas perfected the art of farming in one of the world's most challenging environments. Their terraced fields extended across the mountains like green staircases, reaching toward the heavens. They cultivated a variety of crops adapted to different altitudes, ensuring food security across the empire. Potatoes thrived in the highlands, maize flourished in the valleys, and quinoa sustained the people in regions where little else could grow. The Incas also domesticated llamas and alpacas, animals that provided wool, meat, and transportation. In the coastal plains, ingenious irrigation systems turned arid deserts into fertile farmland. Every part of the empire contributed something unique to the collective welfare, and through careful management, the Incas achieved a degree of food security that few ancient civilizations could match.
Trade within the empire operated on a principle of redistribution rather than profit. Since the Incas had no money, the state served as the ultimate mediator of wealth. The products of each region were collected in storehouses, known as colcas, and then distributed as needed. During times of famine or disaster, these storehouses ensured that everyone, regardless of status, had access to food and resources. This system of planned economy was remarkably efficient and sustainable, demonstrating the Incas' profound understanding of logistics and social responsibility. Even in the most remote mountain villages, people could feel the reach of Cuzco, the center that kept the entire system in motion. Religion, too, played a vital role in maintaining social harmony. The Inca worldview was both spiritual and practical, intertwining cosmology with daily life. At its core was the worship of Inti, the sun god, whose warmth sustained the crops and life itself. The Sapa Inca was regarded as Inti's son, a living deity who bridged the divine and earthly realms. The Temple of the Sun in Cusco, known as Coricancha, glittered with gold plates and idols that reflected the sunlight, a physical manifestation of the empire's devotion. Yet the Inca religion was not limited to a single god. It was a complex pantheon of deities representing the natural forces that shaped their world. Pachamama, the Earth Mother, was honored through rituals of planting and harvest, while Viracocha, the creator god, was revered as the origin of all life. The mountains, rivers, and stars were living beings, each deserving offerings and respect. In the Inca calendar, every season had its rituals. The empire pulsed with festivals, moments when the entire population came together to dance, sing, and celebrate the bond between humans and gods. The most important of these was the Inti Raymi, the festival of the sun, held during the winter solstice. It was a magnificent display of devotion and unity. The Sapa Inca, adorned in gold and feathers, would emerge from his palace to honor Inti, while priests offered sacrifices of llamas and chicha beer. The people sang hymns, played instruments, and renewed their loyalty to the divine ruler. Through these rituals, the Incas reaffirmed their connection to the cosmos and to one another. While religion provided spiritual cohesion, the Inca road system provided physical cohesion. The Capac Ñan was a marvel of organization, connecting distant parts of the empire with astonishing precision. Stretching thousands of miles across mountains, deserts, and jungles, these roads allowed for the rapid movement of armies, goods, and messages. Along the routes were way stations or tombos, where travelers could rest and replenish supplies. The Chasqui messengers sprinted between these stations, carrying knotted cords called quipus that represented information. Trained recording keepers, known as cupicamayocs, could read and interpret these knots, recording census data, taxes, military logistics, and even historical events. The quipus served as the memory of the empire, though it required human intermediaries to decode it. This reliance on oral and visual communication gave Inca culture a remarkable fluidity, allowing stories and knowledge to be passed down through generations while maintaining a shared identity across linguistic and regional differences.
However, beneath this perfection lay cracks that would eventually widen into fatal weaknesses. The Inca system depended heavily on absolute loyalty to the Sapa Inca, whose divine authority was rarely questioned. But when that authority faltered, so too did the stability of the entire empire. The first signs of strain appeared after the death of Huayna Capac, one of the lost great emperors. Under his reign, the empire had reached its largest territorial extent, stretching from present-day Colombia to central Chile. Yet his death, around 1527, likely due to a smallpox epidemic introduced by European contact in the north, plunged the empire into chaos. Without a clear successor, a brutal civil war erupted between his sons, Atahualpa and Huáscar, each claiming the throne. This fratricidal conflict tore the empire apart. The loyalists of Atahualpa, who controlled the northern provinces, clashed with the forces of Huáscar, who ruled from Cuzco. Villages were burned, crops destroyed, and countless lives lost in a war that weakened the very foundations of the Inca state. In the end, Atahualpa triumphed, capturing his brother and consolidating his power. Yet this victory came at a terrible cost. The empire was exhausted, its armies depleted, and its political unity shattered. It was at this precise moment of vulnerability that an unforeseen enemy appeared on the western horizon. A small band of foreign invaders who would change the course of history forever. When Francisco Pizarro and his Spanish conquistadors first set foot on the coast of Peru in 1532, they encountered an empire still reeling from civil war. The Spaniards were few in number, but they possessed two great advantages: advanced weaponry and psychological audacity. Armed with steel swords, armor, firearms, and horses, all unknown to the Andean world, they appeared to the Incas as supernatural beings. Pizarro quickly learned of the internal divisions within the empire and saw an opportunity to exploit them. He sent emissaries to Atahualpa, who was then in the northern city of Cajamarca, to request a meeting. Confident in his divine status and military strength, Atahualpa agreed, unaware that this encounter would seal the fate of his people. The meeting at Cajamarca was one of the most tragic and decisive moments in the history of the Americas. Pizarro, accompanied by fewer than 200 men, set a trap for the Inca ruler. When Atahualpa arrived with thousands of unarmed followers, he was greeted by a Spanish friar who demanded that he accept Christianity and submit to the authority of the Spanish king. Offended by the insult and unaware of the danger, Atahualpa rejected the offer and threw the Bible to the ground. That moment was the signal Pizarro awaited. Cannons fired, guns blazed, and the Spanish cavalry charged into the crowd. The unarmed Inca attendants were slaughtered by the hundreds, while Atahualpa himself was captured alive. The capture of the Sapa Inca threw the empire into shock. For the Incas, whose entire political and spiritual order revolved around the divine ruler, this event was catastrophic. Believing that the sun's son could not die, many refused to resist, hoping that Atahualpa's captors would eventually release him. Pizarro, understanding the symbolic power of his prisoner, used him to control the empire from behind the scenes. Atahualpa, desperate to secure his freedom, offered a ransom of immense proportions, enough gold and silver to fill a room. Over the next months, treasures from across the empire were brought to Cajamarca. Golden idols, silver vessels, and jewelry of unimaginable craftsmanship. The Spaniards melted it all down into ingots, stripping away centuries of artistic and cultural heritage and their hunger for wealth. When the ransom was finally paid, Pizarro betrayed his promise. Accusing Atahualpa of treason and idolatry, he ordered the emperor's execution in 1533. The great Sapa Inca, the living son of the sun, was strangled by a garrote before his people, and his death marked the symbolic end of the Inca Empire. The resistance continued in the highlands for years. The Spaniards marched on Cuzco, seizing the imperial capital and dismantling the foundations of Inca society. Temples were looted, idols destroyed, and the city that had once been the navel of the world became a colony of a foreign power.
Thus, within the span of a few years, one of the most sophisticated civilizations in history was brought to its knees by a handful of invaders. Yet, the fall of the Incas was not simply the result of superior weapons or ruthless tactics. It was the convergence of timing, disease, and internal division that made conquest possible. The Incas, unprepared for the treachery and greed of the newcomers, faced an enemy who exploited their spiritual beliefs and political weaknesses with devastating precision. But though the empire fell, the spirit of the Inca did not vanish. In the mountains, far from the reach of Spanish control, remnants of the royal bloodline regrouped. Led by Manco Inca, a young prince who initially cooperated with the Spaniards, a rebellion was born. In 1536, he raised an army of tens of thousands and laid siege to Cuzco, determined to reclaim the empire. For a time, it seemed as if the Inca spirit might rise again. The Spaniards, besieged and outnumbered, were nearly driven from the city, but superior weapons and internal betrayal once more turned the tide. Manco Inca retreated to the remote stronghold of Vilcabamba, deep in the jungle, where he established the last bastion of Inca resistance. The story of Vilcabamba would mark the final chapter of Inca independence, a story of defiance and endurance that would echo across the centuries. Even as the Spanish built their churches atop Inca temples and imposed their faith upon the conquered, the memory of Tawantinsuyu lived on in the hearts of its people. The Andes themselves seemed to remember, their peaks guarding the ruins and terraces that still whispered of a time when humans lived in harmony with the sky, the sun, and the stone.
After the death of Atahualpa and the fall of Cuzco, the Inca world descended into a period of confusion and resistance. The Spanish conquest, though swift in its military execution, did not immediately erase the deeply rooted structures of Inca society. Across the Andes, communities continued their daily lives, tending their terraces, honoring their gods, and preserving the customs of their ancestors. Yet, the balance that had once defined Tawantinsuyu was shattered. The divine order was broken, and a foreign power now claimed dominion over lands that had once been consecrated by the sun. Still, even in defeat, the Inca spirit refused to vanish. From the ashes of empire, a new chapter of resilience began, led by those who sought to restore the lost glory of their people. Among the surviving nobles of Cuzco was a young prince named Manco Inca Yupanqui, a relative of Atahualpa and a descendant of the royal line. Initially, Manco sought to cooperate with the Spaniards, believing that he could maintain some degree of authority under their rule. Pizarro and his men, hoping to use him as a puppet ruler to control the Andean population, installed Manco as a nominal Sapa Inca. However, the Spaniards treated him with contempt, subjecting him to humiliation, imprisonment, and exploitation. The arrogance and greed of the conquerors became unbearable, and Manco realized that coexistence with the invaders was impossible. In 1536, he escaped from Cuzco and raised the banner of rebellion, summoning warriors from across the Andes to rise against the foreign oppressors. The rebellion that followed was one of the most dramatic episodes in the history of colonial South America. Tens of thousands of Inca soldiers surrounded Cuzco, laying siege to the city that had once been the heart of their empire. The Spaniards, though vastly outnumbered, held their ground behind fortified walls, relying on their horses, firearms, and the chaos of civil division among the natives. For months, the fighting raged with ferocity. The sky was darkened by smoke from burning temples, and the streets of Cuzco ran with blood. The Inca warriors, armed with slings, clubs, and spears, fought with desperate courage, while women and children supplied food and stones to the defenders of their heritage.
The siege nearly succeeded. At one point, the Spaniards faced starvation and despair. But internal discord and the arrival of reinforcements from Lima turned the tide. Manco Inca was forced to retreat, his dream of liberation crushed but not extinguished. Manco withdrew into the remote jungles of Vilcabamba, a hidden valley beyond the reach of Spanish control. There, amid dense forests and towering mountains, he established a new Inca capital, a refuge for those who refused to submit. For nearly 40 decades, Vilcabamba remained the center of a surviving Inca state, a last ember of resistance against colonial domination. Manco ruled from there until his death in 1544, succeeded by his sons, Sayri Tupac and later Tupac Amaru. These rulers maintained an uneasy coexistence with the Spanish authorities, sometimes negotiating peace, sometimes engaging in raids and uprisings. Though diminished in power, the Neo-Inca state of Vilcabamba represented the enduring defiance of a civilization that refused to forget its divine ancestry. The final blow came in 1572, when Spanish forces, determined to end the last vestiges of Inca autonomy, invaded Vilcabamba. The city was captured, its temples burned, and Tupac Amaru was taken prisoner. In a scene of tragic symbolism, the last Sapa Inca was executed in the main square of Cuzco, the very city his ancestors had once ruled as gods. As the executioner's blade fell, the people wept, and even some Spaniards reportedly turned away in sorrow. With his death, the political existence of the Inca Empire came to an end. Yet in another sense, the Incas did not die. Their culture, their language, and their spirit continued to live on among the Andean people, passing silently through generations as songs, legends, and customs.
In the centuries that followed, Spanish colonial rule transformed the Andean world. Churches were built atop the ruins of Inca temples, and the symbols of Christianity replaced the golden idols of the sun. The Spanish encomienda system forced indigenous people into labor under harsh conditions, extracting silver, gold, and agricultural products for the colonial economy. The old Inca road system was repurposed to serve Spanish interests, carrying wealth to the ports that fed Europe's growing appetite for empire. Yet, even as the external forms of the Inca world crumbled, its inner essence endured. In the remote villages of the Andes, people continued to speak Quechua, practice traditional agriculture, and observe festivals rooted in pre-Columbian beliefs. The fusion of Inca and Spanish cultures gave birth to a new Andean identity, one that blended Catholic rituals with indigenous spirituality. The Virgin Mary was often associated with Pachamama, the Earth Mother, while saints were venerated alongside ancient deities. In rural communities, the agricultural calendar continued to be guided by celestial observations and ancestral traditions. This quiet resistance through cultural survival became the true legacy of the Incas, an unbroken thread connecting the modern Andean people to their imperial ancestors. For centuries after the fall of Vilcabamba, tales of hidden Inca treasures and lost cities haunted the imagination of explorers and adventurers. The legend of the lost city of the Incas inspired countless expeditions into the jungles of Peru. Many believed that the Incas had concealed vast quantities of gold and sacred objects before the Spanish arrived, hiding them in secret valleys and caves guarded by the mountains. While much of this treasure was lost or melted down by the conquerors, the greatest treasure the Incas left behind was not material, but cultural. Their understanding of harmony between humanity and nature, their architectural genius, and their vision of a balanced world sustained by reciprocity and respect. The rediscovery of Machu Picchu in 1911 by American explorer Hiram Bingham reignited global fascination with the Inca civilization. Hidden high in the clouds, surrounded by mist-shrouded peaks, Machu Picchu stood as a timeless monument to Inca brilliance. Its terraces, temples, and stairways seemed to defy gravity, blending seamlessly with the natural contours of the mountains.
Archaeologists were astonished by its preservation and sophistication, its advanced drainage systems, astronomical alignments, and finely cut stones. To this day, scholars debate its original purpose. Was it a royal estate, a religious sanctuary, or a retreat for the elite? Whatever its function, Machu Picchu symbolized the pinnacle of Inca achievement and the endurance of their legacy. Beyond Machu Picchu, hundreds of Inca sites continue to reveal the depth of their knowledge and artistry. The fortress of Sacsayhuaman, with its colossal stone walls fitted with uncanny precision, stands as a testament to their engineering prowess. The agricultural terraces of Moray, designed in concentric circles, demonstrate their experimental understanding of microclimates. The vast network of roads and bridges that once connected the empire still serves modern travelers and communities. Even the smallest village built along an ancient Inca route carries within it the echoes of the past. Every stone, every terrace, every ritual performed beneath the Andean sky bears witness to a civilization that once thrived in balance with the earth.
Modern historians and archaeologists have come to recognize that the Incas' achievements were not the work of sudden genius, but the culmination of thousands of years of Andean cultural evolution. Long before the Incas rose to power, their predecessors, the Chavin, Moche, Nazca, and Wari, had laid the foundations of Andean civilization. The Incas inherited and perfected this legacy, blending it into a unified system of governance, religion, and technology. Their success lay not merely in conquest, but in integration, in their ability to bring together the diverse peoples of the Andes under a common vision of harmony and reciprocity. This adaptability is what allowed their influence to endure, even under the weight of colonial oppression. Today, the descendants of the Incas continue to inhabit the highlands and valleys of Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, and Chile. They speak Quechua and Aymara, languages that once echoed through the halls of Cuzco. They celebrate festivals like Inti Raymi and Koilua Riti, blending ancient rites with Christian symbolism. Their art, textiles, and music carry motifs that trace back to pre-Columbian times. The terraces they cultivate and the roads they travel are the same ones their ancestors built centuries ago. Though the empire fell, the Inca worldview, the belief in reciprocity, community, and respect for nature, remains alive in Andean culture. In recent decades, there has been a renewed appreciation of Inca heritage, both within South America and across the world. The Peruvian government and international organizations have invested in the preservation of archaeological sites and the revitalization of indigenous traditions. Cuzco, once the capital of the empire, has become a symbol of cultural pride, drawing visitors from the globe who come to walk in the footsteps of the ancient builders. UNESCO's designation of Machu Picchu as a World Heritage Site in 1983 affirmed the global significance of Inca civilization. Yet, beyond tourism and scholarship, there is a deeper movement among Andean communities to reclaim their ancestral identity, to assert that the spirit of the Inca, the child of the sun, still burns within them. The Inca concept of the world was profoundly ecological, rooted in the understanding that humans are not separate from nature, but part of its living fabric. They saw the mountains as sacred beings, the rivers as veins of life, and the sky as the dwelling place of ancestors. This worldview, known as Sumak Kausai, or good living, continues to influence modern discussions about environmental sustainability and community-based living. In an age of global ecological crisis, the Inca philosophy offers a timeless lesson. Prosperity is not achieved through domination of nature, but through coexistence with it. The terraces of the Andes, still green and fertile after centuries, stand as silent proof of this wisdom.
The legacy of the Inca Empire also challenges modern notions of progress and civilization. Without the wheel, iron, or a written alphabet, they built an empire that functioned with remarkable efficiency and fairness. Their social system ensured that every citizen had food, clothing, and shelter. Their architecture survived earthquakes that have destroyed modern structures.
Their roads connected environments as diverse as coastal deserts and tropical jungles. Their agricultural practices sustained millions without depleting the land. In many ways, their achievements remind humanity that technology and compassion need not be opposites, and that true greatness lies in the harmony between people, nature, and the divine. Even in contemporary Peru and Bolivia, the figure of the Inca continues to inspire movements for cultural and political revival. Indigenous activists and intellectuals draw upon Inca heritage to advocate for social justice, environmental protection, and the recognition of ancestral rights. The name Tupac Amaru, born by the last Inca of Vilcabamba, has been revived as a symbol of resistance against oppression. In the 18th century, the revolutionary José Gabriel Condorcanqui took the name Tupac Amaru II and led a major uprising against Spanish colonial rule, declaring himself the heir of the Inca emperors. Though his rebellion was brutally suppressed, his legacy endured, echoing in later struggles for independence and equality throughout Latin America. The story of the Inca Empire, then, is not a tale of extinction, but of transformation. It is the story of a civilization that rose from the highlands, mastered the mountains, and built an empire of stone and spirit. It is also the story of how that empire, though conquered by foreign swords, found immortality in the memory and identity of its people. The sun still rises over the Andes, casting its golden light upon the terraces and temples that the Incas left behind. Each dawn renews their promise that harmony, endurance, and faith can withstand even the greatest storms of history. In the quiet valleys where llamas graze and the wind whispers through ancient ruins, one can still feel the presence of the Inca. Their temples may have fallen, their kings may be gone, but their vision of the world endures. The stones of Machu Picchu gleam in the morning mist, not as relics of a vanished age, but as living symbols of resilience. The Inca Empire, the builders of the Andes, may have passed into legend, but in the hearts of millions who call those mountains home, the Empire of the Sun still shines eternal.
Together, we discover. Every video is a step deeper into the world of wonder. If you enjoy learning, discovering, and exploring with us, then subscribe and be part of our journey, because the quest for knowledge never ends.